This episode is brought to you by Midwest Night Watchers, found everywhere on your favorite podcast platforms.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Piercing the Veil.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
this
Happy
chap's
Blizzard
already-
Day, depending
this
on where
chap's-
you're at.
Huh?
Happy Blizzard Day, depending on where you're at.
That's true. We're getting missed. Hey, we might get an inch. But yeah, down south, I feel sorry for you. Yeah, in our area, we are getting missed. It's all down south from us. So
Yeah, I
everyone's staying warm.
hear Georgia's getting hit again this year, and all the way down into the southern states. The Florida might be in 20 degrees, 18 degrees, which they're not used to. So I hope everybody stays safe and warm, and we're praying for you and sending all that good stuff towards you so you guys can weather out this storm.
Well, Mr. B's in the house where it's summer right now in Australia. Maybe he can send us some warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. B. There's Heidi Pop. She's in the house. We got Blazer, Sharon, Moon at Noon, Val. You guys are flying too fast. I got to go back.
I know.
Did I get everybody? I think I did get everybody.
Just keep popping in and popping in. Good to see everybody. Thank you for coming. Like I said, I hope you guys all stay safe and warm during this weather event that we're having and going across the Midwest, central states into the South. And our prayers are with you. Hi, Pixie.
Hi, Pixie.
So we hope you guys stay warm and safe, and we'll be thinking of you and sending prayers for you. And I think that's all I have for tonight.
Yep. It's just crazy weather.
Yeah. So if you guys have seen our advertisements or anything, we got Lynn Monèt on tonight, and we're going to continue talking about heavenly experiences and possibly maybe something new that Lynn's got going on. So we'll have to check that out and let her tell you. And so thank you, everybody, for coming in to chat, and we'll just get going. What do you think? You ready?
I'm ready. Hi,
All
Tennessee,
right.
Kentucky Bigfoot.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, as they said, stay warm, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell for those algorithms, baby.
Thank you.
Yeah, you don't want to leave those out. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, actually the snow is heading this way too. We haven't had any snow in 2
Uh-oh.
I think I did that. I'm sorry. I cut you off by accident.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We haven't had any snow in South Carolina for 2 years, so I'm actually looking forward to a good snow, partially because I don't have to drive in it, because everything that I'm pretty much doing right now is from home. So yeah, I actually love the snow. I was born and raised in Florida, so I didn't see snow for the first time until I was 35 years old. So even at 61 and 62, I like to get outside and play in it.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone. I mean, for us, it's seasonal, obviously, but I know other people like to venture off and like go skiing or hiking, and they love the snow cover. The snow cover, and
I do.
of course they can always go out of it and go back home. Some of them.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I love it. I like to build the snowman and have the snowball fights, and because we don't have any equipment here, we don't have like snowmobiles here. They don't do that here because there's never enough snow. But yeah, that sort of thing. But hello everybody. I can't see your comments. I'm sending love and light to all of you, and I'm so glad that you're here. There's a lot of new things coming up and going on, so I'll be happy to dish into it and give you the scoop. Whenever you're ready.
That. Go ahead.
I'm ready.
Okay. As I have a new book that's getting ready to be released. I've been having some issues with editing, so I'm going to be getting that finished as of February 1st. It's the book. It's the third book in the Omnipresent series called 111 Becadon Drive, which is a story about a apartment complex that I lived in that was haunted and had a naked ghost going from townhouse to townhouse, pulling down women's underwear and crawling in bed with them in the middle of the night and scaring the bejesus out of everything. And with that, and then I'm writing also now the fourth book in the Omnipresent series, which is Known Place Like Home, which is that piece of property that I inherited when my sister passed away. And I know that so many times people and shows that I'm on, I kind of repeating the same thing over and over. So this is new stuff, people. This isn't the stuff that's been repeated over and over. By inheriting this house from my sister, I learned that the reason why I was born and raised in a haunted house. I've lived at almost every house that I've ever lived in. They find me for some reason, was because I needed to correct some things that were ancestral. So a lot of times when you continue to go into a haunted place, or a place with issues, which this one had a few ghosts, but it was more of an element, more of a fae type thing than spirit. But there were some dark things with it too. So recently, I've been at the property. I have found that there are ley lines that connect underneath this property that are kind of I kid you not. That are kind of a really big deal. We've had recently, my son ate a kumquat off of a tree in the front yard, and he had such a bad allergic reaction. It like paralyzed him on the ground and he couldn't breathe. He had been to the hospital over and over with it. But the thing is whenever he got to the hospital, they said that there was nothing wrong. They couldn't really find anything to signify why, because his throat didn't appear to be closing, but yet his breathing was so bad on the way to the hospital, the ambulance actually had to pull over to try to intubate him. They thought they were going to have to open his airway by shoving something down his throat. So when you get an attack like that, and the doctors are basically telling you that it's all in your head, you're messed up, or you've been drinking too much or smoking something else, then it's a spiritual attack. And they're getting worse right now because the collective consciousness is showering goodness on all of us and elevating our frequencies, so that we're going to be elevating and having more gifts. People are going to start to notice that they can hear people's thoughts. They're going to start to notice that they'll be able to hear their loved ones on the other side. They're going to start seeing little beings walking around that are good things, not necessarily bad things. But there's so many gifts that are opening up. But with my son, we had to go. I immediately, of course, had to go to the house, and I spent Thanksgiving there. And there were some nasty, very dark entities in that house. There were hell dogs. There were these big giant things that stood probably 5 feet tall that looked like black water bugs. I don't know how else to explain them. They stood on their they stood upright, and they would also lay down and flat. I kid you not, I'm not the only one that saw them. These were happening. So it was this warfare against the dark. And at one point I had gone through the house, and there was one that was trying to entice me into this portal, because I chased it into the portal, and it was trying, when you looked into the portal, it would look beautiful, like this meadow and this gorgeous. And they're like, come on into the portal. And I could feel that my leg was half into it. And I said, no, I knew better than to go into that portal. But what I realized is that there must be something extremely special about this property to have so many layers, like an onion, that you peel off one layer and deal with the dark bullshit. Then another set group of these things would show up, like the water bug things. I'm like, there must be something stuffed underneath this house that they really don't want to have be freed. You know what I'm saying? For them to be fighting so hard against us. And in the meantime, they're attacking my son. They knew better than to attack me. But my son was kind of the weak link in that scenario, because they kept going after his throat, and they actually went after my throat at one point too, and I could feel it burning, and I'm like, oh hell no, this is not going to happen. So after peeling off all of the layers and addressing all of these dark souls and sending them back, I had a friend of mine who was going to try to come on with me tonight, that literally remotely viewed and was picking up these dark entities, putting them in what she calls her coffee can to help rid them of the place. So she saw also everything that was going on. And finally, we cleared it out. And now there's this beautiful, energetic lotus flower that is the size of 5 blocks that is blooming underneath that house where all of the ley lines connect. So I'm actually going to be, I was going to sell the house, but I've decided with the positive healing energy and all of the fae that are coming in there now, that are showing themselves, that it would be a wonderful place to make a retreat for people. Not so much, everybody's got these paranormal investigation things, and everybody loves that. But this is I want, people to come in and as a retreat for healing and connecting with earth and connecting with nature. And the thing that I've learned is that Bob, the little guy that you've heard me talk about before on the show, he has evolved from this. He went from that little blocky-headed guy that was under 3 feet tall that I absolutely learned to adore. He used to ride my car with me, and his feet would go back and forth like windshield wipers, like a little kid. I'd see him back there, and I wasn't the only one that saw him. Brian Bowden, which a lot of people know also, when I was at an event at Gettysburg, Bob followed along with me. He was sitting in the chair, and people kept passing by, and they're saying, you have a little boy with you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And so then when Brian came around the corner, he said, oh, there's Bob. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. There he is. He was sitting right there. And he says, and he's moving his feet back and forth like my kids used to do, kind of thing. And he had this shit-eating grin on his face. He was just watching. He's like, I've never been this close to humans. But since then, since we've peeled off this scab, so to speak, underneath this house, this beautiful purple glistening and pink glistening light just kind of poofs out of this lotus that's covering this whole beautiful area. And Bob has now evolved. He has now kind of, he's almost human-like, actually. And he's got a haircut. This is funny. He has a haircut that looks like Donald Trump. But
really?
because it kind of feathers back, I guess, to cover the top of his ears, because he still kind of has that little bit of an elf look. But he's tall, and he is actively working to do things for humans with a collective consciousness to help everyone, which I think is beautiful. I'm very, very proud of him that he's doing that. So, but I kind of miss my little blocky-headed, cheeky guy, walking around and grumbling and kicking rocks and doing kind of the things that he did.
Right.
But with that being said, yeah, I am going to turn the place into, a retreat type of place for people to come, and I'll be getting that all set up probably in March to start doing that for anybody that wants to, come out there and experience it and meditate and all of those things. So, anyway, with that, and the fact that he has evolved into this beautiful being, and some of the things that are shifting and changing. And the one thing that I've learned most of all in this is I kept saying, why does this stuff keep happening? And it's like, because you've got to clean up your mess. You have to stake your ground and clean up your mess, because all of us that are here now, we're cleaning up stuff from our ancestors who lived way before us. And we are here as the last resort to finally clean it up, people, there was so much bloodshed with the wars going through many of the places and the slaughtering of Indians and rituals and things that happened, in the lands before, even when Neanderthals were here, if they found bones of them recently. But the thing is that there were, any type of bloodshed lands on the earth and it soaks into the ground and it makes it almost like a sour soil type thing, right. And you have to and as we talked about before, energy can't be created or destroyed. It just changes the way that it appears. And so that energy is locked in that blood in the ground of the fear that was caused, the pain that was caused at the time that whatever happened to them, that they started bleeding and all of those sorts of things. And so it's really, really important right now to clean up your spaces. Even if you're in an apartment in the middle of Manhattan in New York and you have no yard, you claim that space and you clear it out. You heal it. This is a time of healing of the earth and because some of this darkness that we peeled away and sent on its merry way is not going to be allowed to be here anymore, which is a good thing because really they're not supposed to be here anyway. Right. Certain things have brought them in. And I'm thrilled that he has evolved, that the property is now clear, that a lot of things have been done. But I was kind of hoping to have my friend come on to help kind of talk about the ley lines and the energy now because it was clogged. I mean, so now it's like a freeway with all of this really, really good energy going in all directions all over the world, literally from that one spot. It was like unclogging a toilet, right. Literally with turds, literally a toilet. Yeah, lots of dark, lots of, things happened in physics, when you get into those darker realms of dealing with those darker things and they feel threatened by you, they can do some pretty physical things that seem really, really real to people, like leave claw marks and make you bleed. They can do physical acts. Mm-hmm. And man, they tortured, my son, literally, and tried to go after me too. But I'm glad that we are now past that. I can tell you what, no darkness will enter that space ever again.
I think that's really important and a good point you made, that most people go out on investigations for paranormal, maybe the dark stuff, and I think it is nice to have a place to go that is a peaceful and already connected to the ley lines and the elementals and all that is coming forward. And it'll be a good place for people to get energized and pick up that energy and take it back home to them and be able to spread that out on their property and clean it out.
Mm. Absolutely. And to relax, to really relax, not just physically, but emotionally shifting and energetically shifting. I mean, in all of the things, even like in modern medicine, they treat you physically and they treat you mentally and sometimes emotionally, but they don't treat you spiritually. So that spiritual part is also addressed in this, and the cleansing and all of that is very, very much needed. And like you said, then people can then go home and spread it where they're at as well. So so anyway, I'm really, really proud of that book coming out. And I just, I haven't had any issues with darkness since. I still see ghosts and things like that, but I kind of cross them over and let them go. But the thing is I'll be curious if the next place I move into, if it turns out to be haunted. The Fae are constantly around me and around my son, which we've been very, very blessed with. We've had sentinels, we've had the druids, we've had the night Fae. The undines have also been present, and they've said that a friend of mine is a friend of theirs. So feel free to call on them because you're my friends. So, yeah, definitely. And the thing is, too, is they want people to take responsibility. So it's not just that we're taking responsibility for our ancestors. We have to take responsibility for ourselves and our own actions also. So, yeah, and I can continue on from there if you want.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to offer like workshops or any kind of sessions there at the place?
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, if I can get, people, and it's going to be an Airbnb, so you can come and go. You can book it for a week. I mean, it's a huge lot. It's 2 acres. I mean, people can bring their RVs. They can pitch a tent. They can sleep inside the house, whatever that they want to do. But yes, I'm going to be doing workshops, and I'll probably be the one cooking for you. So I haven't decided on that for sure yet or not, because the seafood and some of the stuff that people might want to get while they're there. And I mean, the people talk funny and they drive way too fast there, 70 miles past a Walmart, and you got to turn into the parking lot is a little bit too fast for me. But the food is like no other. So if you're going to get that crawfish and shrimp and that seafood, yeah, Boston has great seafood too, but it's a different kind of seafood. It's more the lobster and the stuff, but you got the crawfish and the spice and the Cajun cooking over there. So I am going to be doing workshops, led meditations there. I haven't, I'm doing a rough draft of what I want to do right now, so that people can retreat and all of that, and also have time to go off and see New Orleans or see Baton Rouge or see Lafayette, other areas that they can bank off from there and go see, and then come back, so they don't have to pay for a night's stay somewhere unless they want to. So, and there's a lot of fishing there. There's also some hunting if you're into that kind of thing. I know with some of the hunting that they do, it's for deer and stuff like that, which if you're into that kind of thing. I personally am not, but but some people are, and it does reduce the population. Sometimes it's necessary. So, yes, I will be talking more about that as time come up, but I think that the Fae are there. People will see them. I'm telling you, and you will feel them touching you. They're just so precious, because they have such a childlike wonder about them, that even being in the presence of that energy brings you back to your innocence, if that even makes sense. Mm-hmm. To your core innocence of when you were a child and things were, happy, and, you didn't have to pay taxes, and you didn't have to, go to work every day. You just were, when times would be easier. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this, and I might even try to get some musicians out there and some different things, not, just for the people to come to have maybe some guitar playing and some banjo playing, maybe, type thing, for people in a big fire pit and that sort of things, for people to sit around and enjoy and congregate and talk about stuff that the other people that we're normal. It's other people that are weird. But so that the weird people look at us like we're weird too,
Right.
So, yeah, but, so the book that I'm writing right now starts with how my sister bought the house. It goes into how she had cancer, and how it all evolved around this rock, which I found out, and this is news too, you guys, spoil alerts. So this is a lot of stuff that I haven't discussed before. I found out that the rock, remember I told you about the rock that my sister had put in the room, and how he literally killed her for it. So, he caused her demise for it. So I found out what it is. It is a piece of the original Mother Earth when she was evolving, before she even had grass and trees growing on it. It was during that period of time where she was forming, and she came from the sun, from what I've been told, that it was something that came from the sun and evolved. Of course, the God, or whoever you want to, your higher power, your source, was of course involved in the magic too. And it just, when they were creating the Mother Earth, it was an original piece from that time. And there are 5 pieces, and Bob's job was to go through the portals and collect the 5 pieces. And the 5 pieces have been brought to that property and are on that property right now. Yes.
Wow.
And the funny thing is Bob has had them placed strategically places in the yard. And I said to him, because one rock is as big as my hand with my fingers spread out. It's a big, big rock. And I'm like, where do you want this put? And he told me where to put it. And I did. And I said, what, that's pretty obvious. Granted, it's a nondescript rock, but, somebody can walk by and see that. And he says, no, I'll make it invisible. So just as a test, I had a man over there the day before yesterday mowing the grass. And I forgot to tell him, don't weed eat too close around certain areas because I didn't want him disturbing the rocks. And so, so he went looking for, we have given Bob crystals and seashells and beach sand and, all kinds of treasures because the rocks tell him stories and he loves to be told stories. So we gave him a lot of, different things to tell him stories of the ocean, things like that. And they've been laid all over the yard in certain areas. And the man who was oblivious to the fact of what I was talking about looked everywhere because I told him, I said, well, you might notice some crystals in the yard. Please don't move them, just kind of leave them alone. And he looked all over and he couldn't find anything. And Bob told me that he would make them invisible to people. So he has made them invisible to people.
Wow.
I know where they are and I can see them and I can pick them up and touch them. But he literally, somebody else would walk right past it. So he's also done that. But with the collective conscious that they're also, the Fae are also elevating their consciousness into, more and more people are going to see them. They want to come back as helpers, which is what they were intended to be. And because traditional religion had demonized them because when their leader was Lucifer. When Lucifer was on the other side, he was this magnificent, very intelligent angel, God's favorite angel of music. And when he decided to take things into his own hands, he got kicked out. And of course, just mindlessly, the Fae followed. It's like the Hatfields and the McCoys or the Republicans and the Democrat. You just kind of follow along with your team, you don't even think about it. You just follow. Mm-hmm. And the Fae now have realized that there was a mistake in doing that. So there's a whole bunch of them that are coming back to start helping again with people on Earth, to help them grow things and to help them with their soil and different things like that they had done before in a very, very loving and kind way, which I think is wonderful.
So if people go to your place that you're opening up to the public and they spend the weekend or whatever the term is, and they connect with the Fae there, will they be able to go home to their place and be able to take that connection and have it happen on their property also?
Yes, they will connect with them in a way where they will be, just by simply asking them to come, they will come. So
you mentioned night Fae. I've looked into Fae, but I've never heard the term night Fae. So what are night Fae?
The night Fae, did I send you the pictures that I have?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, they're going in. I will send them to you. You got to keep them private because they're going into my new book. But I will send them to you. The night Fae, they live in these mounds in the yard that literally are like 3 feet tall. They kind of look like crawfish mounds, but they're very, very tall. And there's some other kind of a beetle or bug that makes them too, but they have their own and it looks a little bit different. They stand about 2.5 feet tall. And in the nighttime, they look like white sticks almost, but with this luminous blue, like a royal blue, but bright royal blue covering at the very, very top of the stem. And they walk like stick people, like they don't have joints in their knees. So they do walk that like straight legged. These do, so the other ones don't. But they walk that way. And at the top of the stem, you can actually see their face. And they also have the ears that come up like rabbit ears, but they're they're set more lower on the head. They're not on top of the head. They're more to the side, kind of like where the FTD man has those
the
whatever,
wings.
The wings. They're not here where your ears are. They're not on the top of the head. They're here. And
Right.
that's the one thing with fairies and everything that people get wrong with dolls is they're always putting the pointed ears, but they're putting them here, and they need to be going here because they're always here. But you can see it, and in between the rabbit ears, you can actually see the rainbowing of energy of communication that's going through. It's very, very beautiful. I also have a picture of the very elegant high priestess. She's a queenly figure called the Druid. She looks, when she lays down, she looks like a deer with antlers. But when she stands up, she looks like a log with the legs, and then of course her head with the antlers when she stands upright. She is actually to the top of her head, probably about 4 feet tall, and then of course I call them antlers because they look like branches that kind of come up off of her head. You'll see what I mean when I send you the picture.
Okay.
But she comes with the night fae as a protective measure. The night fae come, they work with the things of the night. They heal animals. They help the animals find food. They do various things also, mostly healing things because they're very spiritual that way. They also carry like this little basket thing with them sometimes that's so bright and energetic that it looks white. You know, that the light just illuminates from it, that it looks white. But when my sister, I had asked Bob at one point before he's evolved into this human person. I told him that I wanted to see him. I wanted to see what he looked like. And there was one night in particular that I was told that the night fae, and the night fae, they come in at sunset and leave. No, they come in at sundown and they leave at sunset. So they do all of the things in the dark. And then of course there's the fae that work during the daytime as well. But I said that I wanted to see Bob. You know, I wanted to see him more than just out of my peripheral vision. I wanted to see more detail. And so all of a sudden, my son and I are sitting there. I was told by a friend of mine that channels Bob that the night fae would be coming. So we're sitting in the living room, and I didn't bother to mention it to my son. I even forgot about it. And all of a sudden, my son's sitting on the love seat across from me, and he says, "There are 2 beings standing in front of our front door," which was white, so you could see the luminous, beautiful color. And he said to me, they're kind of a goldish light color that they're showing. And I said, "Oh, that's the night fae." I was told that the night fae were coming tonight, and I completely forgot about it. The room filled.
Wow.
With night fae. I could feel one sitting up on the back of the couch with the feet dangling over. Of course, Bob was there. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at the couch, the sectional, and I could see going across the back of the couch like a piano keys, his hands. And the thing is he had 4 fingers. He had the 3 fingers and then the thumb, and they look like fat sausages. You know, they don't look like those gnarly things. And he had nails on his nail bed that had the rounded part here, but then it would come to a point, but not past the skin. So it didn't like stick out. It was pretty much just a speck past, but it was pointed from where he would be like digging in the, you know, using it for working with pulling away little rocks and working in the dirt. But, you know, when he did that, and at first his hands almost looked like they were scaly. And I thought, well, it's kind of strange that they'd look scaly. But then I was brought back to the rock, and I'm like, no, they look just like the rock. Because Bob's father was a rockin', and his mother, which are all of the things below the earth, the crystals, the rocks, the dirt, all of that. And his mother was of the things that grow above the ground, where the grass and the trees and the things like that. And the two aren't supposed to get together. Bob is biracial, technically. With that being said, so he has the appearance of the rockin' of his father, but the lines on his hands were roots because of his mother being of things above the ground, he had like little root type hairs, and he had they weren't scales, they were roots, the way that they were running on the back of his hands and fingers, and they were the color of that rock, that tannish gray color. So and he just across the back, and I wanted to see his face, but it kept illuminating rainbow colors, which is the same thing that's between the night fae, which I will send you the pictures of. But anyway, and again, it's just between us for right now because they're copyrighted, and I don't want them to get too soon. But
now, when you're talking about Bob, isn't that the little being that would peek out on your live shows and people would actually see him behind you?
Okay. Yes, and he's the one that used to drop F-bombs all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't use as many F-bombs anymore. But you know,
is the night fae different than the other fairies or fae? I mean, is there any attributes to night fae that's different than the other ones that we might experience?
Well, just that they're coloring. Well,
I mean, are they more mischievous? Are they more gentle? Or, I mean, that's what I'm looking for, I guess.
You know, whatever energy, because they're so sensitive to the collective energy and the energy of people, they will mirror whatever you're putting out in a lot of ways. If you are sending them love, they will send you love back. If you are, you know, being cheeky, they're going to be cheeky back. Most of these are beyond the point of tricksters. They are so, because they are also evolving themselves because of the love and compassion that has been shown to them consistently, that they've been able to start to trust, and they're actually really, really excited and looking forward to this connection with humans again. And which is why I've been asked to write the 3 books about Bob and the Fae to bridge that gap. And I've even said to them, I said, are you sure that you want me to do this? Because, you know, there are a lot of people that are going to use you like the genie in the bottle. They're going to have expectations. They're going to have demands on you. And they said, yes. They said those people that will be able to see them will not be of that mindset. They will be of a more advanced mindset, a more elevated mindset, where they're going to be more love and compassion, not only for other people, but other things. Because what they said is that coming into this phase, and I know that there are some people in the audience that are going to say, I've been experiencing this. When you look at people now, you look at them in a different way, where your heart actually taps into the energy of their heart. So in that moment, you might be, you know, you might look at the homeless man on the street, for example, and think, whoo, you know, I bet that's a little stinky there. But when you connect in and you look at him, you're connecting in with his heart, and you see all of this person's feelings and how they got to this point and why they're doing what they're doing. And you also get to see the beauty of their soul that is intact inside, that isn't what appears on the outside.
Right.
And you can't help but have more love and compassion for people, because you are feeling what they are feeling in that moment. So, you know, if you are mad at your kid, but yet you feel their regret and their sorrow over something that was an accident that they did, you can't stay mad at them very long. You know what I'm saying? Because you get that they've already suffered from it or whatever.
So our natural gifts of empathy is going to come out and make a connection
on steroids.
Good.
Okay.
I think everyone needs more empathy and compassion, and, you know, have a heart for other people. No, not just yourself. Too many people are focusing on their own self.
I don't know if it was you, Lynn, or somebody else, or maybe you and somebody else have told us that we've had little people or fae on our property, and we want to connect with them. So I'm hoping that this will be the chance, you know, of the consciousness raising and us being able to connect. And because I'd like to see them also.
Well, I think we see them on our camera because it's wintertime right now. There's no bugs outside, and I see these little things just kind of flying around, just having fun. And it's not snow, it's not dust. So I'm picking up elementals that we're getting on our 24/7 camera at night.
Do all fairies fly, or are some of them grounded?
None of them. The thing about fairies is none of them have wings.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes, wings is something that the Elizabethan period attached to fairies. Fairies actually self-propulse. They're like helicopters because they can dangle and they can stop midair and then all of a sudden dart off in a direction. I have seen fairies come in on monarch butterflies, and they're beautifully colored, and also dragonflies. Dragonflies are actually the fey realm that comes from the water too. And forgive me, I can't think of the name right now. Jane, you probably know. Not water sprites. Those are what turn into dragonflies in a physical form. I know that you know what I mean. It's the water. Not
maybe somebody in.
Yeah, I can't think. It'll come.
We have dragonflies that show up every summer, and most of them are in our backyard or behind the barn, and very few in the neighbor's yard or the other neighbor's yard. They swarm in our area the last several years. It's been amazing.
They evolved from the water into dragonflies.
Wow.
So, and a lot of times too, they can be very spiritual and carry loved ones that have passed. I know that when I see a blue dragonfly and a green one flying together, that it's both of my sisters.
How about this? Dragonflies have 4 wings and they carry passengers.
Yes, they do. And so do the monarch butterfly. For instance, when I saw, there was one day that I was at my partner Bill's house, and he had sprinkled 7 dust on this one plant that he didn't want to have caterpillars chewing on, but yet he left this whole area open that was appropriate for them to go. He would plant a tree that they can chew on and one that they can't, type thing. And of course, he has changed since 7 dust since we've learned more about the Fae, but this was before. There was a monarch butterfly that was navigated in away from the plant with the poison to the one without. When the fairy detached, she literally looked like a piece of more like an orzo, like a rice shape, but bigger, like those orzo things. They're a little bit bigger. They're a little bit bigger. And her coloration was that of the wings of the monarch butterfly. So she had the beautiful orange and black and a little bit of yellow on her. And I'm saying her because it felt like a feminine energy. It could have been a he for that matter, but was just dangling midair after it detached from the monarch butterfly. Continued to watch to make sure that it navigated to the correct place before then they finally darted off and left in the other direction. So we are going to start seeing more of these things. I promise you that.
Speaking of dragonfly.
Hi, dragonfly.
Good timing to come in.
There you go. Well, there's the synchronicity. We're going to start running across all these synchronicities, but they're really, really looking forward to coming in and helping. Again, people, though, we have to do some groundwork first too. We have to help heal the sour soil and some of our ancestral things that have plagued our loved ones from way, way back. We are coming in and being given the gifts to be able to do that. We have the ability, to, most of us are incarnates anyway. So those of us that are in this room, this is not the 101 class, this is the advanced class. So we come in here, we can talk about these sorts of things and not have people look at us like we have a third leg growing out of our forehead. But, and we know that these things are real, but more of this, we're going to start seeing more of this beauty and more of these things. So start watching things differently. You might start to see them first out of your peripheral vision. I have a picture of a day fae and a night fae, and I'll send you both of those. But the beautiful druid comes with the night fae. I have a picture of her, and she is a female energy. None of this confusion. We got males and females here, so you're either one or the other. And but it's just beautiful to be in that uplifting energy. I can't describe it. You have to come and experience it in order to to be able to do that. And when we finish, I'll talk to you off camera. If you want to, and I'll send you those pictures.
Yeah.
But, maybe, coming up, something can be arranged and people can definitely, come out there and experience it. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's cows that live across the street, and there's a cane field in the backyard, like acres and acres of sugar cane. So they'll be planting. So, and the house being 2 acres, it's literally 8 foot fenced in all the way around. There's a barrier along the bottom so that the gators can't come under the fence, because they will. So we had to put reinforcement below, but people can bring their pets. I don't have a problem with them. They might not want to bring cats because the cats might get scared and take off, being around other people, but they can bring their dogs. Their dogs will enjoy it too, just as long as they're dog friendly, you know what I mean? And going to get along with other people's dogs too. So, there will be some screening done. I'm going to, request that it's not a party to come and get drunk at. Alcohol and some of the recreational drugs that people use actually diminish your auric field. It leaves you open to attachments, and you're not going to need it because you're going to be high on life at this place, literally. So,
you might consider having cameras there in and out so you can kind of keep an eye on the guest yourself.
Well, I actually have cameras on the outside. Legally, you can't really have cameras on the inside where you know what I'm saying, especially if somebody
privacy.
If somebody wants to Airbnb out the house and have their whole family there. I mean, it sleeps 13 people. So, you can bring. I mean, there are 3 bedrooms upstairs. Of course, the master suite is the largest room with a big king size bed. One of the bedrooms, I've got bunk beds, one with a full-size bed, and then a regular one. And then on the other side, 2 bunk beds for kids. So that sleeps 5, or an adult can sleep in there for that matter. Mm-hmm. And then there was another bedroom with, I've got Murphy's beds to pull down in the family room area that can also be closed off and made into another sleeping area, as well as pull-out couches. Yeah, you can sleep 13 there on the inside.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. So, and people can come in and out, but I definitely, how do I want to word this? I will be screening people, before they come out there, because they have to have a respect for the land. They really
don't want darkness back on there.
And let me tell you what, they don't want to pick up anything and take it home.
Right.
Okay, because you might be taking home somebody's rock. And that's not, believe me, you will rue the day. You'll be running back to Louisiana as fast as you can to put that rock back in the yard. Trust me, I know this, because then they get nasty. But the energy will come home with you. The connection will be there forever. And even people being here listening to this today, you are already starting to make that connection with them. I can promise you that. I can promise you that.
Now, Faye, on our property, when we connect with them, will they bring rocks to our location that are special, or crystals, or is it just Bob?
No, it was one of his assignments, from what I understand, which is kind of why he was trying to explain why he didn't take a wife. Instead, he ended up with a rabbit. And the rabbit, he had 2 different rabbits, actually, a brownish colored one and the white one. The white one was the last one that he had that was very, very special to him. And actually, when he passed away, it just about ripped his heart out, because he's this emotion. They have emotions like us. Mm-hmm. So, which is another thing that is wonderful. I mean, he gets very tearful when he talks about his rabbit, and we can do some channeling too with Bob, so that people can ask questions, which is what we were going to do tonight if Lisa could have made it on. And maybe we'll set up another time to do one where, she can do some channeling, and you can ask, you can ask him about Bigfoot. You can ask him about anything, and he can answer this. He even was telling me what Jesus looks like.
Oh, wow.
I kid you not, because he's been around since ever the earth was created. Mm-hmm. So he was here when Jesus was here. So he talked about the fact that Jesus was more Middle Eastern looking than the way we present him as Caucasian. He's not. Right.
He's not olive skinned. Yeah.
Yes, he's olive skinned. Mm-hmm. That his hair is more of a reddish honey color. but the way that the light illuminates in it, it sometimes looks a little bit lighter, but it is past his shoulders just a little bit. It is wavy. He said that Jesus did not have the stakes through his hands; they were through his wrists.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
That too.
And a lot of people claim that it was through the hands. And the pictures you see, they're always through the hands, but it was not. It was through the wrists. He also said that one very unique. Jesus is about 5'11". He was a normal build type thing. So he wasn't a real tall man. He was kind of a normal height from what he was saying. And he said that the thing that's very, very unique about him is that his eyes, sometimes when you look at him, are a beautiful, milky, chocolate milk looking brown color. And other times they're sapphire blue. So
Really?
so his
There's
eyes
some place in the Bible that talks about his unique eye color.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
It is unique. And that Bob had said that they shift from this brown to blue.
Oh, wow.
And then the blue back to brown. And that it's very, very, that they're beautiful eyes.
That's interesting because we have talked to somebody else that says when they connect to the spirit realm or they're channeling or whatever, that their brown eyes start to go blue when they connect.
I would not be surprised with that. I would not be surprised. And obviously it's somebody that's very highly elevated type thing. The other thing is right now with so much BS going on, you're hearing about the drones, you're hearing about the Middle Easterns that are under the ground in the drug trafficking tunnels with vans full of fertilizer that they're waiting to blow up everybody. You're hearing about all of these things, but the thing is try not to, because thinking about those things will manifest it it more in a worse way. Try not to focus in on those things. If your time is to go, your time is to go. It's not a bad thing, people. We don't die. We just shed our meat suits and we go on because our meat suits can't. But it's not a bad thing. Fear. Exactly. You've got to, exactly what Jane said. You have to stay away from fear, because if you don't, you will manifest it for yourself and make it worse. Not only that, you have to not do it because it manifests it for the collective consciousness. Your thoughts go into that big bank of consciousness, and it makes it worse for everybody. So everything that you do right now during this time has a rippling effect across all around the world, and even into space, into other realms and other universes and other, place with planets just like we have here. So it is very, very important to take that minute to breathe and take that breath before you speak. Think about your words. Make sure that they're what you want to say. And also your thoughts go out as energy too. But when you think it and then you speak it, it's like a double whammy. So please, don't get tied up in the chaos. Anything that happens right now is a cleansing that is intended for the world, which may end up taking there's so many people on this earth right now that aren't people.
Right.
Okay. I had one, let me tell you, about 2 years ago. I decided that I was going to donate plasma for a good cause. Plus I got $300 for it. So, I was going to go and do that. I needed a little bit of extra Christmas money. And I kid you not, I was laying in the chair. They were having a hard time getting my veins. So they sent this one guy over. As I'm sitting there, I'm watching him, and he had his face turned. I saw the skin on his face peel to here. And I could see the scales on his face. And then when he turned back like this, the skin just went right back. And I'm like, oh shit. He's a reptilian. He's going to be drinking my plasma back there when I leave. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So so I never went again. But there are so many people walking around that aren't people.
Right.
So some of those things need to be called out. So some of these, if there are events that are tragic, that sound terrible, and you are okay, know that you are meant to be okay, and that the end will justify the means.
Right.
It's not a bad thing to get these people off of the earth because of some of the issues that they're creating. that the energy is either making the energy stagnant or not able to move forward, and it's moving backwards. Right now, so many people, be aware of bait, that you're being baited. You know you're going in one direction, and then something happens to bait you off into another direction. They are fighting, these darker energies are fighting so hard to anchor people like us here in this third dimension.
Right.
Because, I mean, this is like their last call.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why they want you in fear, to keep you in low vibration, because they feed off of that.
They do. It's their chocolate.
Yeah.
It's their
I keep
lure.
sharing with people all this that's been happening for the last several years, maybe 10 years. All of this is meant to happen.
Yes,
If
it
we
is.
all believe in this ascension and we're going to go higher, all of this has to happen. And so that's why you just don't have fear. You just sit back, and we're here for a reason right now, for a reason to experience this. We'll just sit back and enjoy it and experience it.
Absolutely. And I couldn't have said it better, Jane. That is absolutely. And in addition to that too, as Jane said, this is meant to be. So if you give off that fear and that, oh, isn't that terrible, and that sort of thing, that again feeds the darkness, and it's going to make it elongate. The light is trying to snuff it out. And the thing is those beings that choose to stay anchored here will not be reincarnated on this earth. They will be incarnated or reincarnated somewhere else. And I don't think that, with all of the cryptids and stuff that go to the somewhere else, I don't think I would want to be with that. I mean, if you think about it, living on this earth is kind of a hell to begin with, but who would really want to stay here?
Right.
And and it's not that we're not going to be on this earth. It's just that those people aren't going to be allowed on this earth anymore, because the frequency is going to be so different and so elevated in comparison. And they have to, the only way that they can get rid of all of these reptilians and these, look at our government if you want to see puppets that are meat suits on something that, may or not have a soul. So anyway,
now I have a question.
Yes.
During this transition that we're going through for our higher consciousness, are the night fae and the day fae, are they going to, all elementals, I guess, evidently, but are they going to come out and guide and activate our star children that are being born now or have been born to so their abilities come out and flourish?
They're already all about the star children, and actually any children that are born after December 21st of 2024 are these special children. They are born with knowing gifts right off the bat.
Wow.
Ones that we've had to establish. Yes, to all of that. The thing is that right now the fae and all elementals, they live on this earth with us, but because their vibration is higher than ours, we can't see them. So as we evolve to be able to see them, ours evolves, we will, that veil between will thin, and we will be able to see them, and we will come together as a collective consciousness, because they are also part of that collective consciousness.
Do you believe Sasquatch is considered fae? Because I've heard that. Some people say, no, they're not a part of the fae. And then you hear that Sasquatch is a part of the fae. So what is your opinion on that?
I have asked Bob recently, as a matter of fact, what about Bigfoot? And he said that Bigfoot is a very highly evolved psychic being. He said that he's kind of in a category that you can't put a label on him, like alien or cryptid. He is in his own thing, but he is a highly evolved psychic being, and that he does work with the dimensions, that he's able to manipulate the veils to even and he uses the portals to come in and out of, which is why when people get a Bigfoot or Sasquatch or skunk ape, whatever you want to call it, cornered, and there's a sheer drop, and the dogs have him there, and all of a sudden all you see is 1 foot. It's because he has stepped into a portal and he's now off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Another thing is because they have the ability to stay out of their emotions, they have the ability to cloak. So they can be standing right next to you and be invisible to you because they know how to elevate their frequency in order to cloak. There was a guy on one of the shows looking for Bigfoot, and he was taking a picture of a friend of his. Now, there was nothing behind him, nothing around him. And when he took the picture of his friend, in the picture, the guy had on those aviator sunglasses with the mirrors.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There was a reflection of a Bigfoot face right in his sunglasses, which meant that the thing was standing right behind the guy, near the guy taking the picture, and he couldn't be seen because he had elevated his dimension in order to cloak. The thing about the Bigfoot is not only that, so many people are seeing them now. They are actually communicating with some of the humans, actually exposing where some of these elitists are hiding their bunkers and different things like that. They're actually in communication with humans and trying to help humans in some of these cases. And people are being very hush-hush about where this is happening, but they are coming forward finally and saying, well, Bigfoot knows exactly where their bunker is. They'll even show us. So that camaraderie, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The friendship is coming together by people whose hearts are clear and opened and loving. They're not trying to possess the Bigfoot. They're not trying to hold it as a prisoner so they can poke it with needles and find out what it is.
Right.
That spiritual connection is clean between the two of them, and they come forward to it. And the best way to find a Bigfoot is not to go searching for it, but to let it come to you. They love those music bowls.
Yep.
The sound of them. They'll come out of the woods just because they're curious, and they'll be watching you. You don't need to go and track them down and piss them off and make them throw rocks at you because you probably walked right through 6 of them, and didn't even realize it. But to have them come to you. But again, where is your consciousness and what is your purpose for having them come to you? Is it for is it for entertainment, for your pleasure and entertainment, for you to be able to prove something that really we already all know exists? Or is it because you are there with a loving heart to connect to them on a spiritual level and not just take, but also to be there to give?
Right.
Type thing. So it depends on where you're at that level, and to treat them with respect. They will speak to you telepathically. They do have their own sounds that they do make to their families that is unique to them, but they will speak to you telepathically. And that's another thing. Your telepathy, everybody, I'm telling you, between now and May, it's going to start to open up. And you're going to be able to start to talk to your deceased relatives. You're going to be able to start to hear things like Bigfoot. And that's how the Fae communicate too, is through telepathy and feelings and things like that. I have my friend that channels, Bob, because I want verification that what I've heard is correct. So, and I don't tell her. I don't call her and say, hey, I spoke to Bob and he said that Jesus has eyes that turn from brown to blue. I'll say, okay, well, what about the conversation that I had with Bob today? Can you enlighten me on that or tell me? And he comes through and he says, well, starts talking about stuff that I have gotten from him, about different things. So I have that validation. My son gets that validation. So it's multiple people that are getting that validation. But again, I'm not looking for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm open to whatever he wants to bring, but I don't have expectation and demands. Right. And these people that are going into the woods, and I love you guys. Okay, everybody. You might want to change the way that you're looking at your searching for Bigfoot and come with less expectation and demands and let it just flow freely, and you may get better results than what you're getting. And the thing is too, people, they want to see Bigfoot, they want to see a ghost. But when they actually see one, it's a ghost.
Right.
It's Bigfoot. Well, Bigfoot doesn't want you to see them because of their frequency is so elevated that whatever emotion that you're feeling in that moment, they're going to exacerbate it. So if you are afraid, you're really going to flip out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're angry, you're going to be extremely angry. If you're happy, you're going to be very happy.
Right.
To see them. You have to have that clear opening with them. So a lot of times they won't show themselves to you because they know you're a scaredy cat.
Right.
And you're not really ready to see them, the way that you think that you are. So it's the way that it is. I mean, how many people even go on these paranormal excursions and, they want to stand there and tell, oh, I saw a ghost and it was there and I really saw it. Well, okay. It's like, you don't have to prove it if you know it. You know what I'm saying? Type thing. People believe you. That's why they're there. But it's all that, oh, I saw one, type thing. You can tell that they're just a little bit on edge, even though they say they're not scared. They just have that little bit of edginess about them where they're comfortable, but they're not fully comfortable, So, they wouldn't want they wouldn't want that ghost that they saw in the house showing up at the foot of their bed in the middle of the night, standing there watching them sleep. So if they were to woke up, they would probably, at least be a little bit on alarm and at least tell them to get out of the room. But, it wouldn't be a comfortable feeling. And
so the thing I'm getting out of this, and you can add to it or take away whatever, that we have to have a loving connection. We actually really truly want to connect with them, just like we would, like you said, with our family or a child or something dear to us. And we have to concentrate on being good stewards of the land by, like you said, cleaning the leylands and cleaning the soiled land that we might have in our area. So once we get our land and our heart in the right place, then they'll all start coming.
Absolutely. And more and more. And you're going to notice things too. Like, I don't know about you, but lately I find that I have aversions to things like sugar all of a sudden. And I love my sweets, but all of a sudden I'm not craving it as much. Mm-hmm. All of us are going to start doing that. The thing about it is people, you genuinely have to be in that mindset. And anybody that's in this room is close to it, if not in it already. The thing is I have a lot of people that contact me that, they're sitting on a pile of poop. They contact me and here they've made this big poop and they're sitting in it now. And they want me to come and clean it up and make it all better. And then they continue to go walk off making poop piles that they eventually pile up and sit in again. So, and I'm saying that, I don't mean that to be condescending or rude. I don't know how else to explain it. You have to clean up your shit first. You know what I'm saying? You have to take responsibility to clean up your stuff first. When you come to them, if you are intoxicated, if you are loaded with your pain pills, if you are, tobacco and weed's a little different kind of thing because that's kind of natural and grown from the ground. But if you come in with whatever it is that you have going on that is negating not only your mental faculties and your ability to function, your hand and eye coordination to be on par, then you are depleting your auric field to the point where you're not going to be able to get in touch with them either because they communicate through that field. So you want to have it be very large so that vibration can come through and that you can hear them. So, usually and also that type of behavior brings in the darker stuff. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have a drink at all. I'm saying be responsible with it.
Right.
If you're taking prescription medication that is not prescribed to you, then you need to stop. You need to deal with your denial and your problem because you've got to overcome those worldly things in order to be able to elevate up enough to be in their realm, to be able to connect with them. So you really, really have to mean it and walk your talk in order to do it. Go ahead.
Do the fae and stuff that you've experienced, do they care about the Wi-Fi signals and all that coming through your house that we may, all our devices and all that? Do they tell us to shut them off, or does it affect them at all?
It does affect them. They're warning to not go up a higher, like G7 type thing. It does. And that's why if you come to like a retreat, leave your phone wrapped in, you have to have your phone, but leave it in your car, wrapped in aluminum foil or in your bag, that doesn't emit radiation. But yes, it does. They're learning to modify themselves a little bit with it, because they understand also that AI is going to be an important part of our future and rebuilding some of the things that are going to be taken away with some of the tribulation, for lack of a better word, or whatever it is that could come to clean up things, that we will need some of it, but less is better. Again, like alcohol or anything else, less is better.
Moderation.
Exactly. So like at a retreat, people still need to have access to their phones. However, I will have a landline at the house for people to use inside, whereas their phones really would need to be left in their cars or something like that, because really with the phones are giving off radiation.
Right.
And of course it fries your brain. You don't want that. I know that I'm bad about that, leaving it on my nightstand. I've got 3 kids and they're all over. One's in Indiana, Louisiana, one's here with me, but I leave it on because if there's an emergency, and that phone needs to ring at 3:00 in the morning, I want to be able to answer it. So I try to wrap it in aluminum foil and put it at the farthest distance away from me in the bedroom that I'll still hear it ring and have to get up and run and get it. So, there are some things, but there's, if it starts going into 7G, it's I don't think things are going to get to that point. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Right.
But the frequencies and stuff that they work with, we won't need cell phones, because we'll be able to send signals via telepathy to whoever we want to communicate with, even if they're on this earth in a body.
Okay.
You and Jane can be in different rooms and you'll be able to communicate with each other through the telepathy, is where we're headed with that. So you won't need the phones anymore. So yeah, you're on it. You'll be on a 10G wavelength, a spiritual one. So yeah, I'm looking. I see a few of the things. A bunch of USOs are flying over JFK Airport. Yeah,
I heard that.
Again, ignore it.
Right.
Because for one thing, there's nothing you can do about it. For another thing, the government knows what it is and they're not telling, and it's not for something nice. They're having those things flying over other places like Australia and other places, but they're trying right now to do a sleight of hands, so that you look over here at the drones and you're not noticing what this hand's doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And whatever is going to happen, it's going to happen. But I promise you, no matter what way it works out, the end is justifying the means, and it's going to evolve into a much better time for all of us after some of the rebuilding occurs and things like that. It's not going to be fun at first, but I believe that, and I've gotten this from even, Bob, that there's going to be a time of rebuild. People are going to go back to growing their own food, helping their neighbors, you know what I mean, type thing, living more off of the land and things like that. So yeah, just go back to nature. So yeah,
and for no better reason than to be healthy and grow your own food. It'll keep you occupied and out of the world.
Yes. And that's another thing too, yeah, you definitely don't want to be left behind in that third dimension. That is for sure. And it's not that people are going to die to get out of the third dimension. We're just going to be elevated up, and that people are just going to kind of fall away. My son was saying to me tonight, he was saying, my friend Connor and my friend Chris and his other friend Maddie, he's like, I've grown up with these people ever since we've been best friends since we've been kids. And now all of a sudden because I'm talking about some of these things, trying to to make them more aware of what's really going on and the necessity for them to take responsibility for their thoughts and how they create their own future. He said, they're calling me less. He said, even though they are aware of some of this, and I'm the first person they call if there's an oogie boogie in their room,
Right.
There's an oogie boogie in my room, and it's like, well, here's what you do. But then if you go out drinking and get smashed with your friends the next day, you're just rolling out the red carpet for it to come right back. So if you don't want your oogie boogies, you need to not only clean your area, but fix your stuff. But he's noticing that. And I said, a lot of people in my life too are the same thing, even family members. All of a sudden I'm thinking, what? I haven't heard from so-and-so in a long, long time. I wonder if they're still alive. And then I check and I'm like, yeah, they're still alive. And something just tells me to leave it alone. And it's not that we parted ways because we're fighting or angry with one another.
Mhm.
It's just that separation is shedding. And then more people like you guys come into my life as friends and you fill that void. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so like minds are starting to connect together. I mean, if we didn't have each other in shows like this to talk to, all of us would be put in the mental institution, having lobotomies. They don't do that anymore, but we'll be drooling on ourselves from excessive meds. To us, we're normal. This is what we talk about. Everybody's having these experiences and things like that. But, there are other people in the world that don't connect with that way, and they don't want to. So they have the choice to do that as well. And a lot of times too, they condemn things like this because of their fear about it. They don't want to know. They don't, type thing. So they'll start, like I said, they'll start to fall away, and you'll notice that they're not around as much. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, because really, when you become advanced and evolved, you're not going to have a lot to talk about with these people. It'll be like dancing with two left legs. Even though you have family members that don't elevate, you have children that don't elevate, you're still going to love them. You're still going to have them around. They're still going to come for the holidays or whatever you're doing, but there's going to be just this little bit of disconnect in the communication and the frequency, and you will feel it. It won't be that you love them less. You will still love them deeply, but it's different.
Right. We're all on different frequency levels, and it's happened to us even the last few years, even in the YouTube community. Your friends will come and go. You'll be friends with a person the next day, they don't want to be friends with you anymore. And you go, what did I say or do? It happens. Everyone's on different frequency levels. They're in your life for a reason, just for a lesson or learn something. But just try not to take it personal. And yeah, people just come and go constantly. It's just, we're all on different journeys, and you're going to find someone that matches your frequency and you connect with.
Like us.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we connect. Yeah. Y'all are stuck with me. So we'll be friends forever. When I make friends, they're forever, because they're all of like mind. And we don't get into that drama thing. You know what I mean? Yep. So people that like come and just appear like a bad stench in the room and make you wonder what you did, who farted in the room. But I'm just kidding. Mm-hmm. But you know what I'm saying? And then you question yourself, like, what did I do? You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. It's just they're not connecting with you on that level, and they're not meant to drag you down. If that makes sense.
I always think of it like, in school, when we're in grade school, we had the magnets where one side attracts and the other side repel. Yeah. I think that's the way we are. I mean, when we raise our consciousness, we're at that frequency, we naturally attract one another. And the people that we used to know that aren't raising, it's like switching it around, and then we repel.
And that's probably why the next day you wake up and get a bad message or something.
You can't see that magnetism or that energy, but it's there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And trust that. That very well said, Gerald. Absolutely. That's a good analogy. I'm going to use that if I have your permission to use that. I do too.
Absolutely.
That's very well stated. Yeah, that's exactly right. So birds of a feather do flock together, but this is a time of spiritual elevation. I don't mean religious elevation. I mean spiritual elevation, and there is a huge difference. Also, being responsible for your actions, for your thoughts, for the ground that you live on. You have to claim it. If there is something dark on your property, you have to get it off and claim your land and tell them that they can't be there. It's not a time anymore to go buying haunted dolls for your collection. It's not a time to, oh, well, you know, we have a ghost in our house, but it's harmless. It's not harmless. It's not a demon either. But because it's a lower frequency than what you are, it's going to feed off of your energy because it can't help it. It just is going to do that, and it's going to make you feel tired. So no, just even if they're not harmless, they need to cross over. They need to not be in this realm, or again, it's going to be something that kind of holds you down, the type thing. Now, I don't mean that if someone is crossed over and they come back to visit, that's different, but you feel the vibration is different too. And you're going to get more of that too, because the angelic realm is at the same vibration as the Fey realm because it's elevated, and that's why we can't see anything. And actually they say that the other side is just literally 3 feet off of the ground. So when you cross over, you don't have very far to go. So all of that is going to be more open. The communication directly with is going to be more clear. It's so very important that we do meditate. I know that I've been bad about it lately because I've been so overwhelmed with some personal things going on, purposely brought on by darker spirits who didn't want me to dig them up and make sure that they were toasted and roasted and pummeled and thrown away. But absolutely, they will try to do things to deter you. But if you can connect with, meditation and ask for the messages to come in, also be aware that there are some tricksters right now with all of the things that are happening that are still trying to bait people. Perhaps you can have a password or something like that. They read Latin, they don't read English. So you can write it down even to your angelic parents. The password is nut job. You know what I'm saying? Or something. Your loved ones can read it. Even if they're in spirit form, they can still read it and they will know what that word means. And then they can come through to you and give you that password. Whereas the things that are darker cannot. So if you are Latin, please write it in English. They cannot read English. So that was something else that I found to be very, very interesting.
That is interesting.
And I'm talking about the dark things. If there is a human that is not crossed over, they're going to be able to read it.
Especially an older generation. I mean, it's so funny that we bring this up that, we were taught cursive. If you write in cursive, the younger generations has a hard time reading it, or they don't know what it even is anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's coming back though. They passed something recently that children have to be able to write cursive now by the 5th grade.
Oh,
so
good.
they're bringing it back. And I think that's wonderful too. It's a beautiful handwriting thing. And then they can stop printing their signatures. Because it looks like chicken scratch. So they are bringing that back, and I'm kind of glad that they're bringing that back.
I thought it was sad they were taking cursive away.
There's a whole gap of about 10 years though of people that have gone to school and finished school that will never have that. So
isn't that amazing?
And they can't read the cursive. I mean, it's just people are like, what does that say? Well, but they are bringing it back, and I'm glad that they are. So does anybody have any questions that I might be able to answer?
I didn't see any questions actually in chat, but I like to you mentioned something earlier. What's the connection with Blue Lotus and Fae?
You know what? The lotus in general is connection with Fae. It is a connection with Mother Earth, because like the lotus underneath the house it's a whitish color, but because it has these swirling, glittery looking purple and pink like poofs, just
almost
kind of
like flames.
Well, no, they're like they swirl like like flurries, like they swirl and dance together. So it's not like flames, it's more of like a poof, and they kind of then like dance and swirl and kind of go up into the air, and it looks like glitter, like purple and pink glitter, and there's some gold thrown in there too. It's like the lotus is breathing, if that makes sense. And every single time it exhales, this beautiful energy comes out from it, and it continues to grow and to grow and to grow and to grow and to grow. And it's directly underneath that house. It is directly underneath that house. Anybody that can remote view in this room, if you go to the property that I'm talking about and you stand yourself in the front yard in front of that house, you are going to see that lotus below that house. I guarantee it.
Because we have a friend that
you can't miss it.
We have a friend that's been saying that they're seeing the blue lotus at night when they're trying to sleep, and they see the flames. And they're having a hard time falling asleep because they're seeing the blue lotus. So I didn't know if there was a connection there somehow.
There could very well be. And also people are starting to have their sleep disturbed at 3 o'clock in the morning. People are having trouble falling asleep because with this new energy frequency that we're elevating into, we're going to go into our natural sleeping cycles, which we have not been on. We're on daytime, nighttime, wherever you're at. I think the people in Alaska have more of a real a sleeping rhythm than we do, because sometimes it's dark for months or light for months, and they have to sleep during the daytime and then during the nighttime. Whereas us, we're like clockwork. I don't know about you guys, but I have trouble staying awake past 9 o'clock. I'm in my jammies and ready to sleep. And that's if I haven't had a nap. So, yeah. Anyway, somebody's asking, did you ask them about starfish rods and orbs?
Yeah, I know we brought it up earlier because we see them on our camera.
Yes.
In the wintertime and stuff too.
Yes, some of those, I have pictures of those too, actually, and you can actually see there. It's this aqua thing, and I have a video of it coming from the sky and then coming down and landing on the ground. And then I'll share these with you that I zeroed in on, and you can actually see the being in there. And it almost looks like they're on some kind of an instrument. Those are also Fey and elementals in some cases. There are star children, there are star seeds. All of that is real too. They acknowledge that. They kind of also can work together with those in some ways too. They also have warned about the grays and some of the other things that you need to avoid. But yes, all of that, you're going to see more of it. You're going to see more of it. The video that I have of an orb, that it actually, well, I have to show you the picture. It happened twice. One of it was on the Louisiana property, and it was at night. My sister sent it to me because she had seen it multiple times during the nighttime. And she said this time she saw it with her bare eyes. So she ran in, got her phone, and came back out and started to record it. And saw it coming down from the sky, just gently, gently, gently. And then it landed down the grass and around. And she's got this on digital video. And I mean, she saw it with her eyes first. And this wasn't the first time. She had seen it a couple of other times, and it scared her. So she ran into the house. That yard is just covered in portals. There are portals all in there. There's the portal that is used by the Fae to go to the European countries in this area where these 5 trees kind of unite together. But so she did that. Lo and behold, I went to Florida. It's the daytime. I'm looking up in the sky, and I'm like, and said to Bill, I said, do you see that? I said, look at that. So I took a picture of it. Here were the clouds. Here was this turquoise aqua colored orb that you could literally see the being inside of it with the head and everything. And then all of a sudden I noticed that I have pictures with it dancing in front of me that I was taking, some video where you could see that it was moving. But the thing was, I had somebody say, oh, that's just a fluke. That's just on your camera. That kind of thing happens with the lighting on the camera. Well, then while I'm laying in bed at night in the hotel that Bill and I were staying in, we were both laying there looking up, and 3 inches down from the ceiling, this same orb comes into our room about 2 feet, hovers over our bed, And I said to Bill, I said, do you see that? And he doesn't have gifts, and he saw it. He says,
Wow.
yeah, what? I said, that's that orb that we saw at the wharf that I took a picture of. Then it said, and then all of a sudden it just very slowly went back out through the wall.
Wow.
Well, that was no camera. I was looking at it, and he was too. So people can believe it or not. I don't care. I know what I saw. You
Now,
know?
I had a thought the other day, and it kind of leads into what we've been talking about. I know a lot of houses and the government tried to switch us over to LED lights, which emits frequencies out and the wrong color of light. And same thing with our cell phones, tablets, computers, the blue light, the wrong frequency that affects our bodies and our eyes.
Mhm.
What about the red light? Like, I know people are switching over to like almost like the photographer light, where it used to be just a nice glow, dim red, where you could still see and function, but you didn't have all that blue frequency waves on you. Did Faye or Elementals or Bob ever say anything about the light?
Well, you know, the infrared light, the red light, is actually a very wonderful healing tool. You can even regrow hair with it if you put it on your head. People have used that a lot of times to catch any kind of energetic being, whether it's positive or negative, and they do catch those frequencies on the red. I personally have had infrared in the first home of the book that I wrote that I never moved into, and they caught the demonic presences and the young man on that infrared. Also, the infrared on a baby monitor, you can see spirits coming in and looking at babies or hovering over babies' cribs, which is really creepy because I think they create SIDS, if you ask me. If you've ever been touched by one or shoved by one, you know that they can do it with enough strength that they could easily suffocate a baby if it's on its belly.
Right.
So, but you can see these things. So I haven't heard anything. You know what? I can ask and get you that answer. I haven't really heard anything negative about the red light, but you know what? Coming up here, people aren't going to need that to see them. You're going to see them. You know, you're going to see them. You know, you're going to hear them. You're not going to, you know, everything is changing. It's evolving. And
I wasn't necessarily talking about being able to see them, even though that's my goal. But I'm talking about better health for us and for our consciousness, and to help us raise, because we're not in this bombardment of blue light and electronics, and we switch over to the incandescent, almost like the red that the photographer would have in their the developing room.
You know, all that I know is that they're using red light therapy for for pain. They're using it for healing of scars. They're even usually using some of it sometimes after surgeries, not immediately after the surgery, but after the scar is healed to the point of like maybe 5 days, just to, you know, we've got that scabbing on it, and just to kind of to heal it a little bit more. But no, you know what? They're finding a lot of really good stuff about red light, and people swear by it. They do. They swear by it. So I don't know. I will ask. That's my opinion. Okay. I will ask to make sure and find out. I'm going to ask about the blue lights, the green light, and the fluorescent lights. I'm going to write this down. Blue, green, red, and fluorescent.
Yeah, they say that our computers and tablets and cell phone emit frequencies that's associated with blue light. And the LEDs emit a frequency close to that, but different, but it's still emitting frequencies that we don't naturally would have with an incandescent bulb or a red light.
And you're right with that. You're right with that, because they're also sending off things that aren't so well. They're not healthy. Right. You know, that's why for me, when I'm writing my book and I have my computer, I mean, think about it too. Energy can come through those computers. So that energy that it's emitting that isn't so great. You know, I mean, I've actually had, when I've been talking to people about demons in their house, I'd start hearing sounds on my wall like the ping pong ball bouncing off all over, because that energy's coming through to me, and then they pick up a huge sigh or something that the audience can hear that I'm not hearing, that the host isn't hearing until we play it afterwards, and you can hear that groan, that of something, and you can hear the ping pong thing. So more than just radiation or signals, subliminal messages can be sent through that, and the dark entities also manipulate it and travel through it.
Wow.
I'm just saying. So
well, I like to address Daryl. With the IR, we've been noticing, with these rods, skyfish, orbs, these weird things we're getting in our backyard. Gerald and I've gone out with a UV light, the purple flashlight. We've gone out with flashlights.
mm-hmm.
We cannot see none of this with the naked eye. I mean, even with the flashlight, there's
Mm-hmm.
something about the IR that is picking up these beings, in other words.
Maybe because it's shifting the light frequency.
Maybe.
Would that be it?
And I think they like the IR because they're drawn to it, and they like
Mm-hmm.
to dance in front of it. And
well, they're dancing. They love to dance anyway.
Yeah.
It's just that you can see them dancing because
Right.
I can't wait to open this retreat to share the just the childlike wonder that they exude and the beauty, and people being touched by them. I mean, they're so precious. You can feel them putting little necklaces on you, or even like little crowns and things that they bring with them that they put on you that you will wear home. They're gifts, they're spiritual gifts, energetic gifts that you will wear home. And there will be times that you will sit for a moment, and if you focus on where you felt them putting the necklace on you or the crown or anything that they leave with you, you will still feel it there.
Wow.
If you focus in on it. Yeah, they gave me a beautiful necklace that I can imagine. It's chunky actually, but it's very, very pretty, and I can still feel where they gently put it on me that I wear it. So and I actually had somebody that I was talking to Bob, and he actually brought it up, oh, you still have your necklace on, kind of thing. And I'm like, yes, I'll never take it off. I don't know how to take it off. Why would I want to? It's a beautiful,
Right.
It's a gift. It's a gift. And you will still feel those. Our senses are going to elevate so much. It's kind of like when, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me get a little drink of something. When people cross over because their frequency is so much higher, that when they think about things like certain foods that they used to eat here, and of course they no longer eat, but when they think about it, the flavor and the sensation of eating it comes to them as if they are eating it on steroids. And if you stop and you think for just a minute about, say, for instance, the smell of popcorn popping.
Right.
Even sitting right now where we are, you can actually smell it. And if you think about the flavor, you can actually remember the flavor, and you can taste it in your mouth. Peppermint, things like that.
Yep.
When your frequency elevates, it's on steroids. When you're on the other side, it's like on steroids type thing. So there's all of that elevation. There's going to be so many things that are going to come to us that are going to be so much stronger, and being able to, to connect in. And we're coming into some very, very wonderful times. There are going to be some rough times, but they're going to end up being very, very wonderful times as well. And I hope that all of us find each other on a mountain somewhere. We need to, so that we can be neighbors and help each other out. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a very, very beautiful time. And I can't wait to, I'm actually having the Fae guide me on this one about the classes, what they feel is most important to have be known to people type thing, and that sort of thing. So I'm kind of going with the flow of what they're bringing to me, type thing. So it's going to be, I'm going to have to maybe I'm having surgery the end of this month actually, and I'm going to be off camera for probably a month. So during that month, I will take the time to listen and actually frame all of that out, guideline all of that out, and actually start to get it together so that when things start moving forward again for me after that month of recuperation, that I'll be able to put it all together the way that they would like to have it put together. And I think it's going to be something very beautiful and wonderful for everybody. And it doesn't hurt. So,
Right.
And then you get to meet up with other people of like mind, and you get something from that, engaging with people and meshing with, people that way. So, yeah.
We have one last question before we start to wrap this up. John asks, how do we know what to trust as far as mind reading wise?
Well, that's a really good question, because there are so many attachments and things, like people with schizophrenia. I'm not saying you have schizophrenia, John, that are constantly talking. They're not when you communicate and hear people's thoughts, you're getting it telepathically. When you have attachments and you hear voices, they're not in your head. It's something literally talking in your ear. So that's why it's a different sound, if that makes sense. It's a different sound.
Right.
All of a sudden, I was thinking something just this morning, and my son then said exactly what I was thinking. And I'm like, I was just thinking about that. And he said it exactly the way that I was thinking. So I know that he picked up what I was thinking. And these are some of the ways that you're going to get that validation at first when you have that question, until you learn what the differences in the sound is. The difference of the frequency of the sound is, right. People, you're going to think something, and all of a sudden somebody's going to turn around and you're going to thinking, oh, the sky is pink, and then somebody says, oh, look at the beautiful pink sky. So you're going to know, you're going to get that validation again and again, that people are hearing your thoughts, and then you might hear someone's thought, and then you say something. You go out to dinner with your loved one, and they're looking at the menu and thinking, oh geez, look at these prices, man. When did an egg roll go up to $5? They used to be $2 for an egg roll at the Chinese food restaurant. And all of a sudden you're going to hear this, and you're going to say, wow, the prices have gone up, but don't worry, go ahead and order what you want anyway. Then you're picking them, and then they might say to you, you know what, I was just thinking about that. So you're going to get that validation verbally until you get used to it enough that you're going to know when you're hearing somebody else's thoughts. And it's a different kind of connection. It's hard to describe how it's like your energy going into their energy. And no, people, it's not going to be invasive that, well, I take that back. It could be a little invasive sometimes, maybe. But you need to get used to it anyway, because when you cross over, that's how they communicate. And if you're a person that likes to drop F-bombs and S-bombs and GD bombs, and you're standing there and you are standing in front of these beautiful beings that are coming to collect you, and all of a sudden your mouth isn't moving, but you're thinking, holy shit,
right.
Look at that. It's going to go out like a megaphone. So again, you have to start to be responsible of your thoughts. You're not going to be able to look at some girl and think, well, look at those knockers. Again, that's a little inappropriate anyway. And it's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Because she's going to feel it. She may not say to you, stop checking out my boobs. You know what I mean? Or she might say that, but they're going to feel it. So it's a time to also get us ready for even higher frequency changes. So when we cross over, we're ready, and we're not going to have that embarrassing moment. Thank God they have a wonderful sense of humor over there. They actually get a kick out of us, and they want to know why we're all standing. Something else that Bob said that the higher realms want to know, and the Fey realm want to know, why humans are standing around constantly staring at these little black boxes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know what that is, so, and people are just so mesmerized by these little black boxes. So they've actually asked about that, when they've had the opportunity to come through a human house. They love to know. They're curious, what's this? What's that? Ooh, look at that,
Well, hopefully they're watching us talk about them.
Oh, they are.
Right.
They are. The room is full right now, actually.
So,
I can see. Yeah,
so
I can
John's
see.
actually talking about his Bigfoot clan or trying to communicate with them, I think is what he was getting at.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Jane have been under the impression and had this kind of verified where once you make a connection with the one that's communicating with you, you end up knowing that signature or that feeling or that frequency that
Mm-hmm.
entity is on. And you can tell when something else is trying to come in and pretending to be. And I think we talked about on a past show or grandma comes in to talk to you and no, that doesn't sound like grandma. Grandma wouldn't do it that way or say it that way, or I wouldn't have this feeling that way with grandma. So you kind of have filters that you build up over time. Is that correct? Or
No, you're absolutely correct. That is true. Very, very true. And again, keep in mind that there are some things that are coming in to bait people, but you're going to have with the like you were saying about Jane and you guys, that once you connect with a Bigfoot on their frequency, I mean, it's familiar. It becomes you build what am I looking for? A familiarity with them and a comfort with them. And they already know everything about you. They can read you from head to toe. They know where your heart is at. They know everything about you. They know your present, past, future, your past lives. They know everything about you. You're learning about them. So, but that connection and that familiarity and that exchange is a frequency all in itself that you will recognize, and nothing else can go. These darker forces that are trying to mimic us, they're trying to understand our emotions, they're trying to get that that spark that we have in our heart, that every time your heart beats under a microscope there's a flash of light. This is true, people. I've seen it on a heart going through nursing school. That does happen. They're trying to obtain that because they can put sperm together with worms or flies and make fly bug man, and then they stick him on the earth to scare people to death and see how he survives. They can make the wolf man, the bird man, whatever they want, and they can make humans mixed with the aliens or humanoid type bodies, kind of like avatars. But one ingredient that they're missing is that life spark and those feelings and emotions that they cannot fully understand. Even if they have something that can mimic those emotions, they're really more of a narcissistic kind of, to take it from that avenue, where they really don't have the childlike wonder about them, that connection type thing. So, and you will sense that. More and more people will sense that. And also, if they're telling you something that you're not supposed to do, then you need to flip them off and go in the other direction. So just saying.
So let's go over your stuff again. The last few minutes. Go ahead and tell us again about what you got going on as far as your books or anything new on the horizon that you might be able to tell us.
I do. I've got lots. Actually, I'm streaming right now on Gaia. If anybody wants to go on there, if you go through the link on my Lynn Monèt Facebook page, you can actually watch it for free. You can have it free for 10 days. You can watch as much on Gaia as you want. It's a wonderful thing. I'm with George Norrie talking on Beyond Belief. Coming up in March, I'm going to be starting my own podcast. I've been invited to join in with Clyde Lewis on Ground Zero, not to be with him, but to be under the same umbrella of him. They wanted to have a female host, so they're bringing me in to do that for a podcast. So I will be having people like our lovely friends here, Gerald and Jane, on my show. Definitely be bringing them in. So I'm going to be doing that, taking off in March at some point. I'm not sure if it's the beginning or the end. I just spoke to Ron today. He's the producer, and we're going to be discussing more because they're changing some things. I'm also going to be updating my website so that links are there that you can click on. I'm going to be opening a store so that you can buy beautiful things on there, from beautiful crystal coffee cups to all kinds of energetic things. And I've got I have some Fae dolls that are just enchanting. They're so precious, that people can buy as well. I have my omnipresent, what happened next, Colors of Heaven, Beginnings Never Again, and The Gap are all out. Some of them are on my website. Some of them are on Amazon. I figured that Amazon doesn't need the money since they don't like to pay. So I went ahead and I put some on there. And it's not that it's about the money. I want the word to get out, but I would like to be able to personalize it for them, make sure that I'm putting love into the book before I send it out in positive energy. Also, I have the third book in this Omnipresent series coming out any minute. Hopefully by February 1st at the latest, because we've been waiting, but things have been happening in my life that I've had to delay. I have more than half of the fourth book in the Omnipresent series written, No Place Like Home. I'm really, really hoping to have that out by May. The property in Louisiana is just finishing renovations to make it so that, it's 13 people can sleep there. That's just in the house. I mean, the side yard, it's on a 2-acre lot, and the house is directly in the middle, but there is a whole mowed field that could line up 12 RVs.
Wow.
Seriously. I mean, and then on the other side, they can pitch tents if they want, where there are a few trees, if they want to do that, if they want to sleep on the ground instead of come into the house and actually experience that as well. So I can be able to have groups come out there and things like that. I'll let you know more as that comes up. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. I love everybody. I hope, I know for some of this that may sound a little bit out there, so take from it what resonates from you. I'm telling you, you're going to come back to this. And this is all new material, people. These are spoiler alerts. This is not stuff that I've really talked about in this kind of depth before. This is the first time. So you're going to come back to some of this and you're going to say, Gerald and Jane and Lynn were talking about this exact thing. You're going to have that deja vu. You're going to have more deja vu. You're going to have more of those aha moments. And you're going to be ready for it because you heard it here first.
More confirmations.
Exactly. And don't forget to ring that bell, push that subscribe, and give it a big like. And people, the more comments you make, the more their algorithms bounce off the page. So even if you just go boo, 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 and keep hitting it, hit it so that they can get their algorithms up and whatever happens with that. So ring my bell. We can
ring my bell.
Everybody's chiming in on such a great show, and they loved all the information you've shared, Lynn. So I think we did a good job tonight.
I think we did too. And hopefully when I come back, which I'm sure will be soon, because you guys are stuck with me. You're like some of my favorite people. I just love you guys. We can get my friend Lisa on here so that she can actively channel Bob, and you can ask him questions directly.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So that you can ask him about the Bigfoot. You can ask him about the lighting. You can ask them about any of it. And he will tell you, like I said, he'll even tell you what color Jesus's eye color is, because he was here when Jesus was here. I'm just saying.
Nice.
So, and again, I'm not coming from a religious standpoint. I'm coming from spiritual.
Spiritual.
Yeah.
Spiritual. Yep. So anyway,
I guess just hang on don't go anywhere, because we're going to talk to you afterwards. And thank you all for coming. I hope you guys got a lot of this. I know I did, even though just like always, you think you get a grasp on something and then it changes and you learn new stuff, or you go down like thinking, okay, what is this? I've never experienced this before. So that happened to me tonight talking with Lynn, and I hope it's happened to you and inspired you to search other things and do things differently in your life. And hopefully you'll see us on Clyde Lewis Radio Network with Lynn on her new show.
Yes, absolutely.
So having said all that, we love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Keep looking up.
Keep your vibrations high.
And be good stewards of your land, spiritually also.
And spread out love.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.